Hey, good to have you back. Yeah, after looking at myself at hundreds of videos, I've decided to sort of take a little bit of a detour in terms of difficulty, and uh, and just get right down to the foundation of some things like scales and arpeggios and chords. And today, that topic is going to be the arpeggio. Yes, unfortunately, I can't meet you all personally, and I would love to, but I have to start somewhere, and I have to, unfortunately, make some assumptions. And so, if you're already, past like the what is an arpeggio stage, but before you even pass that, if you can play arpeggios in every type, up and down your fretboard in all keys, then this video is probably not for you. But if you want to understand how to do that and how that happens functionally on the guitar fretboard and within music, you're going to probably want to stick around. Okay, and so naturally, in order to build a foundation, I have to start with foundational tools, right? We're not at the top of the skyscraper yet. We're still, digging a hole, and so the topic here is going to be what is an arpeggio, and I'm going to start uh, with with using my book that I wrote because it took me a while and I might as well use it, and it is very useful and it'll give you all the diagrams that you can refer to. You can buy this book on Amazon if you like. Um, and there it is, essentials for the improvising guitar player, guitarist, building a functional understanding of arpeggios. Now, this will always also be a functional understanding of the related chord forms because, well, arpeggios come from chords and chords come from scales. And so we always have to integrate those different elements of playing. All right, so here we are with what is an arpeggio. Let's start with a simple C major arpeggio. As we can see here in the top diagram on the top staff, we take a note, skip a note, take a note, skip a note, take a note out of the scale. So here we have C major scale, for instance. We could do that here. And we take a note, skip a note, take a note, skip a note, take a note, and that gives me a C major arpeggio. I can, of course, repeat that in another octave. I put those together, right, and that gives me an arpeggio. Normally speaking, what we're going to be doing is, when we're learning these arpeggios, is we're going to play them vertically, right? So we're not going to be yet moving all across the fretboard. Okay, so that's a major triad, right? Of C, E, and G, 1, 3, and 5 out of a major scale, and we just get that, derive that by going take a note, skip a note, take a note, and that's all there is to that. But in more complex music, such as jazz, or I mean, you'll find these chords in pop and other, and you'll find them in modern country and everything else, lots of other idioms as well. And that is the seventh chord. And all that means is that we're going to the seventh degree of the scale, as we can see here in this system, right? Take a note, skip a note, take a note, skip a note, take a note, and do it once more. Skip a note, take a note. We have the 1, the 3, the 5, and the 7. In this case, the major 7, not the dominant 7. That's a different chord that we're going to cover here shortly. The dominant seventh has a flat 7. The major 7 does not have a flat 7. It's the major 7 that's in the major scale. So this arpeggio, that's the 4-note arpeggio. We'll spread them out as we go along. I just want to make sure you understand the foundational theory behind this. And I'm reluctant to call it theory because it's not really theory, it's practice, right? It's what is practice, it's what, a language that everyone understands and shares, right? Okay. Now, here on the bottom of the page, we have an example of what these diagrams are going to look like. This diagram is 1-3-5-7, 1-3-5-7, right? And filling up the whole fretboard going down to the bottom as well. So this arpeggio in C major 7 would sound like. And it expresses the C major 7 chord, right? And all of those notes come out of the C major scale. Okay, so that's, I think that's cool so far. So a major 7 chord is a 4-note chord. Let's move on a little bit. So the major 7 chord in the key of C major is the 1 chord in the key of C major, right? Because it's built on the first degree of the scale of C. The D minor 7 chord we build in exactly the same way, except we start on the 2nd degree of the scale, not the 1st degree at the tonic chord, but the 2nd degree, the 2 chord, and we do the same deal. Take a note, skip a note, take a note, skip a note, take a note, skip a note, take a note. Now the notes that we end up with here are D, F, A, and C. This is the diatonic chord. It comes out of the scale of C, right? It's derived from the scale of C in this case. So we're looking at the key of C. Now we're looking at the 2 chord in the key of C, and the 2 chord is built from the 2nd degree of the C major scale, doing that same pattern of take a note, skip a note, take a note, skip a note, and that produces a D minor 7 chord, and we'll talk about why that is a minor 7 as opposed to a major 7 in a moment. Then on the 5th degree of the C major scale, we have a G7 chord, and that this is not the same as a major 7 chord. It's a different chord. It's only 1 note different, but it functions differently, so you can't think of them as being the same at all. It's a different function. It functions as a dominant chord, and so here we have 1, 3, 5, 7, and that 7 is going to be a lowered 7th. It'll be a different distance. We're going to get to that shortly. So we have 1, 3, 5, 7. Take a note, skip a note, take a note, skip a note, take a note, skip a note, take a note. Always the same thing. The chords are built in our system of harmony in what we call tertian harmony, or the harmony that's built on thirds, which means take a note, skip a note, take a note. Okay. So major and minor triads. A triad is just a 3-note chord or a foundational chord. Consider it to be a foundational chord. So with that in mind, the C chord that we've just discussed, the third is, the first third is a major third. That means the distance is a tone plus a tone. Meaning, a tone is this, in case you don't know it, from here to here, and there to there, a 2-fret distance. So in a C major chord, the distance is a major third, 2 tones that are put together create a major third, a tone and a tone. In the minor chord that we looked at, the 2 chord, we have a tone plus a semitone. So the first third from the root to the third is going to be a semitone smaller than the root to the third of the major chord, right? So there's the difference. The difference in minor sounds and major sounds, simply put, is the major sound will have a major third, and the minor sound will have a minor third between the root and the first third. And so, yeah, so I just explained that. So chord spellings, um, we have now to look at this from a seventh perspective. A C major seven is a major triad, with that major third, with a major seventh, and a major seventh is this distance here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 in the scale, right? That very quite dissonant sound, and underneath it we have a triad, or a rounded surrounding it, whatever your voicing is, right? And the triad, the notes of the triad are C, E, and G. All right, and then the D minor seven, we have a minor triad with a minor seventh. So the minor seventh is a semitone smaller than the major seventh. So it's, rather than being like, I'll take this from a D this time, rather than being like this, a major seven, it's a minor seven. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, minor seven. So it's one semitone smaller than the major seven. And that gives us the minor seven chord. That's one voicing, common voicing, right? Okay, and then finally the G7 chord is a major triad, just like the C major, like the one chord. The 5 chord, the G7, is a G major triad in the key of C with a minor seventh. So it has the same minor seventh interval as the D minor 7 chord. So a triad, a major triad with a minor 7. Here's the triad. Here's the chord. Here. Okay, and then here's major triad, and then the flat 7, the lowered 7, major triad, and the lowered 7. All right, so that gives us the 1 chord in the key of C major, the 2 chord in the key of C major, and the 5 chord in the key of C major. Now, keep in mind that this exact theory and exact pattern of events that we have here is going to apply to every single major key. It doesn't matter if you're in G or E flat or D flat or F sharp, whatever. It's going to be, you're going to be using the same functions and ideas. You're going to have the 1 chord is going to be the major 7, the 2 chord is going to be the minor 7, and the 5 chord is going to be G7. 1 chord tonic, or known as the tonic chord, the 2 chord subdominant, and the 5 chord the dominant. All right. Oh, here, and there's a little diagram that tells us that. The 1 chord, a state of resolution, 2 chord, medium tension, a lot of wandering around. Sometimes leads to the tonic or leads to the dominant. The dominant, normally speaking, most commonly, check out some tunes, the dominant will lead to its 1 chord. All right, and giving us the elements of 2, 5, and 1. The 2, 5, 1 progression is the most common progression in jazz. Okay, and just in case you don't know, intervals, this is a quick tutorial on intervals. The intervals in the key of C major are right here. I won't actually, I'm not going to belabor this right now. It's really a separate lesson. So let's take a look at the fretboard application of what we of the C major 7, uh, the C major 7 chord in 3 different regions. And I think what we should probably do is take a look at that in a separate video. So the next video we're going to actually take a look at, there's a C major 7 arpeggio, and here is a C major 7 arpeggio, right? And we'll start to put these things together. But the main thing right now is that you understand and you come to an understanding of how this stuff fits together. Keep in mind that we derived these 3 chord types, C major 7, D minor 7, and G7, which function as a tonic, a subdominant, and a dominant, which are the core of the 2-5-1 chord progression, which is ubiquitous in books like the Real Book and the American Songbook, and on and on and on, right? And those chords were derived from the same scale, the C major scale. So we're just building on that foundation, those fundamentals, and in the next video, talking about arpeggios, what we're going to do is start putting those arpeggios around the fretboard, and so it's important that you understand where we are at with how arpeggios are formed and how they're spelled on the in theory and on the fretboard. And with that in mind, I'll give you an exercise. Take a simple C major triad, and which gives you like the 1, the 3, and the 5, right? And get used to playing that. Now, if I now do a D minor, just a simple little 3-note triads like this. Right, and then the 3-note triad of G, right, and just work your way around the fretboard, just spelling these triads, and even go so far as to see if you can link them together. C major triad, C major triad, right, an octave higher, and so on. Experiment and work your way around the fretboard with your ears, and before we start digging into more complex seventh sounds. That would be a good one. So I hope this helps you, and I hope this maybe clarifies some stuff about arpeggios. And if it did, let us know, in the comments below. That would be great. If you want to continue along this journey, please subscribe so that you'll get notifications, and when there's a new video, which is usually every, they're coming pretty fast right now. And I've got a lot to work through here with this book and with others. And like, subscribe, comment, all very helpful for us to let us know if we should continue. Love to hear from guitar players, and I hope to hear from you. See you soon.